finally catching live. Oh, welcome. You came for a good one. We are at the point we have built to. For 21 books prior to this. From book 1, we have been building to the moment we destroy the suitors. And we just had, to recap the very ending of book 21, we strung the bow. We shot through the axes. We got dramatic thunder and lightning from Zeus going, get him, kid. Get him, kid. The atmosphere is high. We had him turn to Telemachus. Be like, let's fucking get ready to go. We know that Eumaeus and Polyboetes, Polybetus. Oh, he's got the name that's weird. Oh, shite. Whatever. We have our other herdsmen, our cow herdsmen, our cattle herdsmen, and our swineherd. They are in on the plan. These are the 3. We also know that Euryclea, obviously, because she's our goat, knows. They've made sure we've locked all the doors. We have created the perfect situation for essentially shooting fish in a barrel, right? We are limiting the amount of movement anybody can have. This is how we're going to do an extremely small amount of people, predominantly just Odysseus, against over 100 people. We've also made sure they don't have weapons. And the plan has come together. Oh, yes, and we made sure, Polyboetes, we've, Athena made sure that she gets good sleep. Sleep like the dead sleep. Ain't nothing waking this woman up. She deserves it, by the way. And the part of that reason is you don't want her running in and accidentally getting hurt. A sound like a slaughter is going to wake anybody up and might make them go investigate. Athena is like, we are not even running that risk. You take a good nap, girlfriend. Get some beauty sleep. Not that you need it, but If only real life problems could be solved while we were sleeping. No, Agnes, she's not. Remember, she's already wished death upon him. Multiple times. None of that. No Delulu headcanons in here. First time in your streams. Hello, Pomegranate Boy. Welcome. You've come to a good one. We're about to do the slaughter of the suitors. It's going to be a good time. Yeah, it's true. Amphinomus and Co. made her wish she was dead. Let's not forget. As I say, mourn your trash man, but he is a trash man. Nobody's going to be sad that he's dead, except for you, which is totally fair. I mean, maybe his dad. His dad should have raised a better son, but you are allowed to be sad for him. But no Delulu, and no Delulu headcanons being projected onto others. Neobatrachus, yes, yes. All right, everybody. Are we ready? Oh, because Game Wizard is not yet here. Hey, his dad tried. It's true, Odie does know his dad tried. Housekeeping rules, since usually Game Wizard does this for me. If you have... Hold on, I'm going to find this. If you have a question... Where's that freaking emoji? There we go. If while I'm reading, you have a question, this emoji that I put in the chat, make sure you put that at the front or the end of your question if it's something you want me to answer, because otherwise the chat is scrolling. You have a likelihood of getting lost in the sauce there, right? So if you need to get, so that helps me see it out of my periphery, and then I know to look at it. I might finish a line that I'm reading, but that's what that's for. So just in case. Beyond that, I think that's our major housekeeping rule. I'll wait for when Game Wizard shows up and he'll put the Discord link and stuff in there. But beyond that, let us go. Feels very apropos that today I have you'll see these in the first version of Snort Mail I put out for 2026. I have my Apollo bookmark because we are on his feastal day and we are going to invoke him. Book 22. Slaughter in the hall. Now, stripping back his rags, Odysseus, master of craft and battle, vaulted onto the great threshold, gripping his bow and quiver, bristling arrows, and poured his flashing shafts before him, loose at his feet, and thundered out to all the suitors, "Look, your crucial test is finished now at last. But another's target left that no one's hit before. We'll see if I can hit it. Apollo, give me glory." Brief stop. Everything, as we can see, has aligned to such a pitch-perfect place. It's on a divine level. Again, that we're on the feastal day of Apollo, that he's gonna kill all these people with the bow and arrow, and he's dumped them all out. Also, these stripping back his rags, a lot of scholarship generally says, so he's basically buck-ass naked. Buck-ass naked. Absolutely. Because this is about to be the moment of Aristeia. Flashing step. We're talking about the arrows. That's the arrows. Marisam. It's like he's dumping out the arrows out of the quiver so they're in front of him. Like he doesn't have them in the quiver anymore. That's what we need. Calm down. The buns are out though. Everything is hanging out, which honestly would scare the shit out of me. At that point, I'm out. Except I can't run. So, we're talking about Aristeia. This is a great moment of Aristeia. So Aristeia, it translates literally, so far as I know, as something like the word excellence. So Aristeia, this is a scene or tradition, particular in epic poetry, where a hero, usually in battle, has his finest moments. And it comes, I believe, from the Greek word aristos, which means best. So, like, this is... And this isn't just like you do something cool. This is something that's so cool it's absurd, right? Like you are at the peak. Because often this moment of Aristeia might result in the death of the hero, which is kind of a suggestion that having a moment of Aristeia is sort of like where the hero reaches his zenith, where he reaches his peak, his pinnacle as a fighter and a hero. We talked way earlier in a past book how Gregory Nagia talks in his book, The Ancient Greek Hero in 24 Hours, about how the Greek hero is chasing the perfect death, right? So you're trying to have a moment of Aristeia. Another moment of Aristeia would be, there are moments in the Iliad. Like Diomedes has one, Achilles very famously has his. You can make an argument about the Polyphemus cave kind of being a moment of Aristeia, where, because, as we would say, we suggest that the Aristeia suggests that the qualities of a hero are what make these great deeds possible. So, for example, Odysseus he's known for his polymetes, the man of many ways, man of twists and turns and all of this. Helped him to craft that insane plan in the Cyclops cave. Of course, that all went awry, which ties into identity and everything else. But here, you could say it crafts him. He has that ability to craft the perfect plan because he's going to be predominantly one dude. Yes, we have Telemachus, we have Eumaeus, we have the other guy whose name I can never get right. I'm sorry to that dude. They are there, but this is really all about Odysseus. So it's predominantly one dude against over 100. That's insane, right? But he has basically been creating the situation where he's gonna be able to do that. Which is pretty freaking cool. So I love that bit. But again, also the Apollo give me glory. We've been drawing attention to Apollo because this is Apollo's feastal day, to the fact that this bow that he's using may in fact be a bow from Apollo, which just makes it all the more perfect that he's using it to slay these suitors. We've been bringing in all of this drama and like literary irony and shit, like so that this is such a perfect peak moment. Again, we're building to this moment of Aristeia. The fact that this is the moment of Aristeia is shown in the text with many parallels to Achilles in the Iliad. Absolutely. When we do the Iliad and we start reading Achilles' moment, you will see the parallels. Like again, everything is gonna line up and build to have that moment. It should be the most insane explosion of cool, basically. Yeah. 100 men versus one Odysseus. My money is on the one Odysseus. Sorry, like is the bow blessed by Athena? No. It's not. No. It's literally just he's that good of an archer. And remember, please, if you're going to ask a question, use the hand raised emoji. Otherwise, I happen to see that one, but you will get lost. Yeah, they're often shown doing their great fights in the buff. I can do this with my meat exposed. I mean, it's just me. I'm that good. They took that very seriously. And it's also, again, let's remember man salutes. They ain't wearing much to begin with anyway. Man salutes. Could you say Odie learned from his fellow Greeks in the Iliad? No. I mean, it's not like he didn't understand how to do stuff like this already. He's a Greek hero. He's been raised in this kind of thing. The war at Troy was insane, but he's not mimicking what happened at Troy. So they all, in a way, recognize each other and their strengths, but he's not like learning how to do this from his buddies in the Iliad. He's known for his polymetis, and that's the thing that's allowing him to do this. Wouldn't have to do it 3 times so they can go to wouldn't have to do what to go to the Elysian Fields? Unsure what the question is. Is it actually stated why he does it naked? No, because again, you don't have, let's remember, this is being written down in the archaic age of Greece. Didn't need to be explained to the people of the time. They got it. Mansalute, doing it in the buff? Yo. Now, to be fair, it does just say he strips away his rags. The scholarship has a lot of it interpreted, so he's buck-ass naked. And that would make sense. One, again, men weren't wearing that much anyway. In the Bronze Age. Look, short skirts. Might not even be in tops. Less clothes, okay? Just number 1, clothes are expensive. Let's remember that. Just less of them. But also, again, it's the, I can do this naked. It's just me. I am the Greek hero. I am that good. You are also inferior to me. I mean, it is very much just sort of like the Greek hero thing, pride. But this is like, this is not hubris. This is insane. Pride, you could say, attitude backed up by insane competence. For doing heroic things. I mean, the Greek verb is the same root as the gymnasis, which is stripping. Yes, because in the original, as if I recall, this could be a detail that just come from nowhere, but if I recall reading, a lot of those Pan-Hellenic games, the precursors to the Olympic Games, are done in the nude. The athletes are competing in the nude. It kind of goes with that. Yeah. Gymnasium athletes did their things naked. Yeah, it's a show of strength. It's a show of power, of personal prowess. Naked. They had different attitudes towards nudity. Oh God, Agnes, what did you say? And the third, oh, for God's sake, Agnes. I'm not even mad. That's actually funny. I'd love to hear about the Argonautica. That's, after the Iliad, there's going to be a poll for what we do. Because after the Odyssey, we're going to be doing the Iliad. There will be a poll for what to do after the Iliad. The Argonautica will be one of the options. But yeah, so he's showing himself as Odysseus, or he's still the concealment of, oh, he's showing, the whole point, he puts back his rags. He's showing himself as Odysseus. Everything, whatever glamour that was on him is gone. This is him revealing himself, because he himself as Odysseus, rightful king of Ithaca, is the one who has to do this. You can't do it in disguise, because then you come into that's literally following into the same trap that happened with the issue of why the whole thing with the Polyphemus cave went so fucking sideways, which we're going to reference that again later. Hold on one second. I saw something about do heroic things, and I wanted to, was the question, do they have to do like 3 heroic things to get into Elysium? No, I don't understand. I don't know where that comes from. As far as I know, in ancient scholarship, that's not something that comes from ancient sources. Will you cover the telegony soon? Probably not. You really can't. You can't, really. We've talked about it in post book related chats, but there's really nothing to discuss. The whole of the telegony doesn't exist. We don't have it anymore. We have a summary. That's really all you've got. If the suitors had their weapons and began slaughter, do you think any of them could have put up a fight? They could maybe, but they'd all die anyway. The whole point is they are so inferior to Odysseus. There's just no way. The Elysium thing is probably Percy Jackson. It's Riordan rearing his ugly head. The 3 times proof once worth comes from Pindar. Is that Pindar? It's been a long I'll be real. I only ever read Pindar like once or twice. It's been a long time since I read him. Pindar. Do you know which piece for Pindar it is? If found guiltless in life, according to, where's Pindar? Pindar. Okay, hold on. 3 times, if those who had 3 times on either side to keep their hearts untarnished while wrong, those travel along the road to the, those who had good courage 3 times. 3 times on either side of death. I'll be real. Passes. Suffer. Must return if it remains virtuous through. That is very strange. Oh, the Olympian Odes. Okay, it's been a long time since I've read the Olympian Odes. I would have to go back and read that. Let's put a pin on that. That might be something unique to Pindar because I don't know it from any other sources. And Pindar, his odes are, Pindar's a unique dude. Great reading. It's just been a long time since I read Pindar. I actually need to get a new copy of Pindar. I don't have any of my old copies anymore. But let's note that Pindar is post-Homer. Basically, if you're not Hesiod, you're post-Homer. None of that would be applicable to Homer, right? Because we are talking after him. Is a unique dude in one. He's a unique dude. Look, what I remember of Pindar is pretty vague. I'll be real. But he was an interesting read. Look, I don't think he's quite on the level of Hyginus, who I think, sir, I have questions. But he might have taken that from the Olympian Odes. But it's the Olympian Odes, what I recall, it's not even just do 3 heroic things. It's like reincarnation and weird and such, which is like strange because that never really comes up in Greek myth. Like you die. So that's why I'm like, Pindar is she listen. Oh no, Peck will come up if she wants to come up. If I do that, she will come up. This is very normal. Hi. No, oh no, Peck, come back. There you go. She's back. Anyway. Oh God, no, come back. Oh, I know, we're back. Anyway, does tend to build off of already present stuff and give it his own twist. Yeah, no, he does. Again, no issue with Riordan doing that. The old myth is Semele. Me and a friend talked about the Greek gods. They kept mentioning something about canon, and it's different than myth. Is that real? I have a whole short on that, hybrid gamer. It's an extremely narrow view to read the word canon and think only of things like Christianity. Again, I did a whole short talking about that because I used the phrase canon and people got real on me about that. And I said, you need to understand that word is used differently in different contexts. I'm not going to get into it here. I have a whole short on it where I talked about it. And it's different than myth. I don't have time to get into the semantics on that, but for the Owl of the Blessed or something, yeah. The Owl of the Adder, yeah, okay. Anyway, with that, he trained a stabbing arrow on Antinous, just lifting a gorgeous golden loving cup in his hands, just tilting the 2-handled goblet back to his lips, about to drain the wine and slaughter the last thing on the suitor's mind. Who could dream that one foe in that crowd of feasters, however great his power, would bring down death on himself and black doom? But Odysseus aimed and shot Antinous square in the throat, and the point went stabbing clean through the soft neck and out, and off to the side he pitched. The cup dropped from his grasp as the shaft sank home and the man's lifeblood came spurting from his nostrils, thick red jets. A sudden thrust of his foot, he kicked away the table. Food showered to the floor, the bread and meats soaked in a swirl of bloody filth. The suitors burst into uproar all throughout the house when they saw their leader down. Rot. About the point going through the neck is exact. Yes, this verse about the point going through the neck is an exact echo of the death of Hector, which we will find way more sad. This is very satisfying. The death of Hector is more sad. I will note that golden loving cup. So the way that that is written in English, golden loving dash cup. So it's a very particular type of two-handled goblet. I have seen it implied in scholarship, and Mariana can tell me if there's anything more in the Greek that would signal this, but I've seen several scholarship articles, papers, what have you, talking about this cup, is specifically they are hinting or inferring this is Odysseus's own cup. Antinous is drinking literally from the cup that Odysseus would use. That is why he must die first. For daring to drink from the cup of Odysseus, it's also why we're going to hit him through the throat. That wine you're drinking, you don't deserve to consume that. You do not deserve to drink that which is not yours from a cup you do not deserve. And it would be also why he would want to go after him first, for many other reasons. But, I've read that in a couple articles. Don't ask me to cite which ones, but I remember it because I had it in like old notes that I found, and I was just like, yeah, I vaguely recall this. I can't remember what they were citing for it exactly. Less the spare the trachea saved because Antinous doesn't need to say anything here. That's true. We don't need him to speak. Yeah, no. Hector at least gets final words. Less the spear. Yeah. We don't need Antinous to speak. Hector gets some words. Antinous doesn't need to speak. But that's because killing Hector, that's a bona fide hero. That's a tragic death. This is not tragic. Antinous ain't no hero. He is an animal. Not sure if it's Odysseus, but it might have the same description. I think that's what it is. Mariana, I think you're right. Hold on. I want to swear we make notes. This is why I keep stuff like I could type this down, but no. Because I initially, for those who don't know, literally handwrite most of my notes. I know I have space. Golden loving cup. That has got to be what it is, because I wouldn't have written it down, and these were old notes. I wouldn't have written it down without a reason, and I do recall reading it. I'm just blanking on everything else. Oh, that's why that's happening. Bullseye. Kalon, aleison, cruson, let me actually... Thank you for giving me the Greek, so I'm not going to have to go try and... When I try and hunt and look things up based on Greek, it is a very long, very laborious process. Kalon, aleison, cruseon, amphoton. Oh yeah, no, anybody who writes or appreciates the art of narrative just gets intense satisfaction from what Homer does here. Like, he's showing off at this point. Like, how well he has... So I would say Swiss watch narrative. It's all coming together. It's just beautiful. Yes, both of his hands are occupied because he's using this two-handled cup. He's not paying attention. Which is, again, to say that, like... One, nobody took it seriously that the idea that this beggar... who, like, maybe they should have been sus of, but of course they're not. Sight versus insight. We're going to talk about that in a second. Could be doing that. But also that this hall, while not the biggest thing in the world, is big enough and people are crowded in enough in pockets. You might be over here and not noticing what's happening over there because you're not paying attention, right? Wild time to get a phantom throat ache. Yes. Let's see. Saw their leader down. They leapt. Oh, wait. A little off topic. What's your opinion on Orvids? Oh, Ovid? I will say, Pomegranate, for questions like these, usually wait till we're done with the reading. Like, normally during the reading, we want to keep the questions related to what we're reading. So that would be like a post-reading question. Ovid was staunchly anti-Greek and anti-authoritarian. He wrote the way he did for a reason. And that predominantly is in the Roman pantheon, unless he specifies he's writing about the Greeks. Trust me, your head will get in a spin. Antinous is being taken out like an animal, because that's what he is. He has forsaken the right to call himself human. Antinous is dying like Hector, not because he's like Hector, but because his killer Odysseus has the Adisteia moment as Achilles. Exactly. Yeah, this is about Achilles. Not the animals he's going to be slaughtering. This is about the hero. This is a hunt, basically. He's fighting an infestation. Also, yeah, arrow versus spear. Yeah. They leapt from their seats, milling about, desperate, scanning the stone walls. Not a shield in sight. No rugged spear to seize. They wheeled on Odysseus, lashing out in fury. Stranger, shooting at men will cost you your life. Your game is over. You've shot your last. You'll never escape your own headlong death. You killed the best in Ithaca, our fine prince. Vultures will eat your corpse. Which is ironic. It means none of them recognize him. None of them recognize him. Sight versus insight also. Hector got dragged by Achilles' chariot, but Antinous didn't. Sad. Yeah, Odysseus wouldn't do that. The dragging behind the chariot is incredibly sacrilegious. We're not in the Iliad. When we get to the Iliad, we will have to talk about that moment, because what Achilles does is actually like, that Aristeia moment just drops off the cliff when he does it. That's not something that he should have done. Yeah, they have no clue, which is just like, they still have no clue. Trust me, I know. Best of Ithaca. Yeah, again, this is all irony. This is all such good irony. And again, an audience would be lapping this up. None of them would have competed with Odysseus, so no Greek sleuths moment for them. Exactly. None of them would have competed with him. None of them would have been able to. There are some people who are older. Again, the range of the suitors is pretty reasonably wide, but most of them are much younger than him. None of them would have competed with Odysseus for anything. They would have known him, 20 years ago maybe if they saw him, but none of them would have competed with him for anything. It just does not click in their heads, which again, it's ironic. Also they never would recognize. Oh no. What is that? It's a good bad joke. Yeah, none of them would have had the opportunity to see him naked either. Yeah, you don't compete in anything with him. You never got the chance to strip down next to Thunder Thighs. They call Antinous Prince. So the prince is basically saying he's roughly like landed gentry. Because none of them are really using words like king or prince or anything like that. You're essentially a warlord. Bronze Age. They call him the Prince, the Bethfast. He's landed gentry. He's a lord. We're using the word prince to say he's a noble of sorts, but he's not a prince. His father's not a king. It's why you could then have like multiple kings of a city-state. Like Sparta, who was the king of Sparta? Tyndareus. Who was also a king of Sparta? Icarius, who is Penelope's father. Like, it's going to the warlords, and then who's the top warlord? It's very muddled, and again, this is an archaic Greek's understanding of Bronze Age Greece, which they only understood so much because the whole Dark Age happened. Bronze Age Greece completely collapsed. They weren't the only one. Quite a few Mediterranean civilizations kind of around that time collapsed. There's a great book on that topic, by the way. So even this has anachronisms and some things where we go, well, not quite. But us, even now, thousands of years later, are still just kind of like, we're still fumbling a bit in the dark. More like a lord. Like a landed gentry is the only way I can think to try to describe it. That's about the closest you'll get. Translation shenanigans, yeah, but it's basically trying to say, like, these guys are still nobles. And they might say he's our prince, like he was our leader. Like we assumed he would probably end up being the next one. Like, yeah, translation shenanigans, but a lord, what have you. Yeah. Also, let's remember the suitors are morons in many ways. Different hierarchy styles, so they use the closest terms we had. Yeah, so Fagles is trying to translate with like the closest terms he can find where they kind of make sense. Meg Aristos Kauron, the best of sons in Ithaca. Yeah, because if you just say best of sons, it doesn't emphasize that we're talking about people who were higher up on the social totem pole. So I get why he used prince, maybe not the word that I would use, but I get what he was going for. Yeah, they might have, different hierarchy even than the Archaic Age. I mean, we know their practice of, we'll call it slavery with a dolos, was even between that and the Archaic Age, seems to have been different. So there were differences, and again, even the Archaic Greeks were kind of fumbling a bit in the dark. Bronze Age Greece had collapsed. There was a whole Dark Age of, a couple centuries in there, that they're removed from all of this. Right? Groping, frantic, each one persuading himself the guest had killed the man by chance. Poor fools, blind to the fact that all their necks were in the noose, their doom sealed. With a dark look, the wily fighter Odysseus shouted back, "You dogs! You never imagined I'd return from Troy, so cocksure that you bled my house to death, ravished my serving women, wooed my wife behind my back, while I was still alive. No fear of the gods who rule the skies up there. No fear that men's revenge might arrive someday. Now, all your necks are in the noose. Your doom is sealed." Why not use the term Lord? Because he didn't want to. I don't know why Fagles makes all of the choices he does. Different translators are going to do different things. And that is so good. Yeah. Also calling them dogs. Essentially saying, you're brutes, you're beasts, you animals. Pointing out, no fear of the gods who rule the skies up there. Yeah, you've been violating Xenia consistently for 3 years. 3 years, like 365 times 3. Every day, all day. It's so inexcusable, it's almost ridiculous. And close to the Greek. Is that part really close to the Greek? Love it. Is it really behind his back if they assumed he was dead? They didn't have confirmation he was dead. So until you have confirmation of death, the man is alive. It is behind his back. It's not up to them to assume he's dead. It's up to the palace, essentially. Nobody ever said he was dead. You have to make the assumption he is alive somewhere, especially when a Nostos could take a long time. You can go on other adventures. They just didn't care. Now, yeah, 20 years is a long time. Sure. But when also there were envoys constantly coming saying, well, Odysseus was here, he was spotted here, he was spotted there. Guys, it's on you. They went with the thing. What line are we on? You made it in time. 40, we just finished 42. Discord link, bless you. Thank you, Game Wizard. Pin message. That is the Discord link. Dog is the same as Achilles addresses Hector. Which is like, it makes that bit so ironic in the Iliad, but we won't get into that. That's the Iliad. Argos did nothing wrong. It's like, don't say, that's, oh yeah, that's the bit from, I'm pretty sure, for those who were here and watched Strong Woman Do Bong Soon, where it's like, oh, men are dogs. Because don't say that about dogs. Don't say that about, don't compare them to dogs. Dogs didn't do that. Again, yeah, we're drawing all the parallels to him having a moment like Achilles. Right. Oh, Bong Soon. We love Bong Soon. Bong Soon-y. Wilson says Odysseus is naked. Every now and then, she has one small thing that she'll do that is okay. Yes, the man is naked. Thighs out. Buns out. Rage out. Terror gripped them all, blanched their faces white, each man glancing wildly how to escape this instant death. Only Eurymachus had the breath to venture, if you're truly Odysseus of Ithaca, home at last. You're right to accuse these men of what they've done. So much reckless outrage here in your palace, so much on your lands. But here he lies, quite dead, and he incited us all, Antinous. Look, the man who drove us all to crime. Not that he needed marriage, craved it, so he'd bigger game in mind, though Zeus barred his way. He'd lord it over Ithaca's handsome country king himself, once he'd lain in wait for your son and cut him down. But now he's received the death that he deserved. So spare your people. Later, we'll recoup your costs with a tax laid down upon the land, covering all we ate and drank inside your halls, and each of us here will pay full measure, too. 20 oxen in value, bronze and gold. We'll give until we melt your heart. Before we've settled that, who on earth could blame you for your rage? So stupid. It's dumb. Eurymachus, we've seen, I've been calling him like the snake oil salesman. He thinks he's a good talker. He thinks he's smooth as hell. Boy, we see right through you. Because again, it's laughable. The reason everything the suitors say is so laughable is because we know they are all horrendous. They have all committed the same sin. They have all done this. They are all equally guilty. But we also see, again, Homer is using the suitors, and he often will pick out the individual ones to show you not only different kinds of essentially evil, we'll say, but how evil will justify itself. How evil will constantly try to get out of suffering consequences. However, in this case, because this is a moment of Aristeia, because Odysseus and the gods have all been like, oh, fuck no. Nuh-uh. Not when you have, all of you, all 108 of you, violated the single moral through line. The ethical, moral constant of this story. Tenya. And you've not only violated it once, 365 times 3, guys. Every day for 3 years, morning through night, they have done this. I can't emphasize that enough. Their violation doesn't start with the Odyssey. It goes back 3 years before this starts, right? Eurymachus thinks he's a smooth talker. He tries to smooth talk his way out of it. It's wasted effort. It's wasted breath. Yeah, we are your people. You wouldn't want to hurt us, your own people. No, my lord. We're your people, obviously. It's like, oh, you're his people, huh? So that's how you treat your king. Really? Really now, buddy? Really now, buddy? Again, fucking ironic. Like, you can't help but laugh. It is laughable. Because it's so laughable to see the mental gymnastics that all of them are doing at this point, trying to see how they'll get out of this. It's like, how you get out of this? You shouldn't have done it in the first place. And not when Zeus sent down the dramatic thunder and lightning. That was not the magic word. There are no magic words. Yeah, over 1,000 days they've been doing this. Oh boys, it is. We are so beyond past the point of no return. Yep. Yeah, trying to out-talk Odysseus? You are not a master of polymetus. It is not going to happen. Again, these men are all, these boys, these animals are all so inferior to Odysseus. They're also inferior to Telemachus. We're gonna get to that. We're not there yet. Yeah, you beat them at their own game. Do not cite the deep magic to me. I wrote it. You can't out Odysseus. It's not even just out talking him. It's like, don't forget, Odysseus is a warlord and he is a warrior. You're not gonna outfight him either. This is a bona fide Greek hero. You guys do not compare in any small way. If you don't mind, sending questions is going to come when we're done with this book, when we finish reading book 22. If you're not going to be asking a question related to the book itself. Oh, yeah, I know. They think they're at the level of Penelope. They're not even at the level of Penelope. No way. She's the only one who can beat Odysseus at his own game. Which she will. Not yet. Next book. You were never even a player on the board. But the battle master kept on glaring, seething. No, Eurymachus. Not if you paid me all your father's wealth. Which, by the way, your father's wealth. It's not yours to give. That's your daddy's money, because daddy's still alive and head of house. Very important. All you possess now, and all that could pour in from the world's end. No. Not even then would I stay my hands from slaughter till all you suitors had paid for all your crimes. Now, life or death, your choice. Fight me or flee if you hope to escape your sudden, bloody doom. I doubt one man in this lot will save his skin. I love, he's like, run if you want. It doesn't matter. They've already barred the doors. Go ahead and run. It's all pointless. His menace shook their knees, their hearts too. But Eurymachus spoke again, now to the suitors. Friends, this man will never restrain his hands, the invincible hands, now that he sees that polished bow and quiver. Look, he'll shoot from the sill till he's killed us all. So fight! Call up the joy of battle, swords out, tables lifted, block his arrows, winging death. Charge him, charge in a pack. Try to rout the man from the sill, the doors. Race through town and sound an alarm at once. Our friend would soon see he's shot his bolt. Brave talk. He drew his two-edged sword, bronze, honed for the kill, and hurled himself at the king with a raw, savage cry. And in the same breath, that Odysseus loosed an arrow, ripping his breast beside the nipple so hard it lodged in the man's liver. Out of his grasp, the sword dropped to the ground. Over his table, head over heels, he tumbled, doubled up, flinging his food and his two-handled cup across the floor. He smashed the ground with his forehead, writhing in pain, both feet flailing out, and his high seat tottered. The mist of death came swirling down his eyes. Also, due to liver shot, yike, you can't fix that. I know, it's like rot. I mean, getting him in the liver. Oh, that's, you're gone. You're gone. Oh. Amphinomus rushed the king in all his glory, charging him face to face, a slashing sword drawn. Well, he could force his way clear of the doorway now, but Telemachus, too quick, stabbed the man from behind, plunging his bronze spear between the suitor's shoulders, and straight on through his chest the point came jutting out. Down he went with a thud. His forehead slammed the ground. Telemachus swerved aside, leaving his long spear shaft lodged in Amphinomus, fearing some suitor just might lunge in from behind as he tugged the shaft, impale him with a sword, or hack him down, crouching over the corpse. Let's talk about the death of Amphinomus, because this one I actually find interesting. There's many things to note here. Oh my god, Elijah. This charge against the king, this thinking he can somehow force his way out. What we're seeing here is a real reveal of Amphinomus. Remember, Amphinomus has been the master manipulator. He is the true serpent in the grass. He's the scariest of all of them because he's quiet, only speaks when he needs to, makes sure that he is always on the side that he thinks is on top, and serves ultimately his purpose. That mask of politeness, that mask of almost charm, you could try to say, even though it's totally false and falls flat, is gone once he is backed into a corner. It's like an animal being backed into a corner. They will show you your teeth and show you who they really are. And what I want to say with that is, I mentioned before we were going to talk sight versus insight, right? We talked about Amphinomus. I mean, we talked about this with all the suitors, but I really want to bring it up with Amphinomus because he's killed by Telemachus, which I think is important. Amphinomus only sees, like all the suitors, he only sees what he wants to see. He does not see or does not care to see the vile nature of his own behavior. We know all the suitors are like this, him even more so. We've seen the mental gymnastics they're doing to say, well, I'm not as bad as that guy. No, yes, you are. You're all in the same boat here. He wanted Penelope. He wanted that power to the point he did not care about essentially losing the right to call himself human. The Greeks would say, you don't deserve to call yourself Greek. What do you mean you violated the moral and ethical through line of this whole story? You violated Xenia for over 1,000 days. Every day, all day. We haven't talked about that yet, Sonny. We're not there yet. But he is in his head justifying it to himself because that is what evil and cruelty does. They justify their own behavior to themselves. Even when we're sitting there like, are you fucking kidding me? Right? In a way, like I said, they've lost the right to call themselves Greek. Now, additionally, his focus on Odysseus made him blind to Telemachus, who was always in the room. Telemachus never left. He was always there. They knew that, but they stopped focusing on him because Amphinomus, just like the other suitors, never saw Telemachus as a true threat. They never took him seriously. That was their mistake. Very much their mistake. That's the son of a bona fide Greek hero. Mentioned briefly. Yes, we mentioned at the end of the last book that he said, lock the gates, lock the doors to the outside of the palace. They can't escape the palace. That's all we've talked about so far. Any other doors we have not talked about yet. So he's thinking, I can just escape out of here. That'll be it. No, you can't. You also did not notice the other threat that was always there. The viable threat to their behavior is the prince. Now, it also then puts his moments of saying, oh, we shouldn't kill the prince. We could argue it puts them into even sharper perspective. Not only is he saying, oh, let's not do that. He's not just saying it because, well, it'll make us look bad. And that doesn't serve us when we're trying to get Penelope to like us. But it's also that he didn't view the prince as a threat. It's like, what's the point? He can't do anything. Why waste the effort and the energy? It'll just make us look bad. Serves no personal gain for Amphinomus. What does he gain if Telemachus is dead? Nothing. That's why he says, if the gods demand it, I'll do it. I'll be first in line. But he had no respect for him. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Right now, they view Odysseus as in the wrong. I'm talking about when we look at the theme of sight versus insight, which is a bit, for those who don't know, anyone who's studied literature, sight versus insight comes up a lot. It also comes up a lot with classical texts because it's kind of a core theme. You see it everywhere. What do they see? They see Odysseus. If they thought, they'd have gone, oh yeah, his son is still here. This young man, who is an adult man with his beard, who is gone on his sort of, we'll call it the Greek version of the Bildungsroman. He's gone on his journey. We will talk more about him, about Telemachus and where he stands exactly later on. We're just not there yet. I'm holding off on some stuff. But they're focused on Odysseus. He, to them, is the only real threat in the room. I'm like, ooh, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. I mean, we've also seen they don't take Telemachus seriously. We've seen it across all the previous books. Yes, in their mind, Odysseus is the one breaking custom, which is, again, we sit there in the fucking dramatic irony of it all going. Fucking really? Like, oh my god. Oh god, Agnes, did you say... No. Agnes, no. Agnes, your Delulu headcanon is not allowed here. We're talking the book. He did not have respect for Telemachus. That's the point. That is the point. He didn't. He didn't have respect for Telemachus, didn't have respect for Penelope, didn't have respect for Odysseus. That is the point. This kid, do we really think Odysseus is going to be crazy protective of his own son? Crazy protective, I mean, yeah, he will be. That's his heir. He doesn't have a spare, so that's it. Well, I mean, not a legitimate one. But this is Telemachus coming in being like, I got that. Was Telemachus somehow traumatized by the killing, even though he's also killing when Odysseus of Troy flashbacks, just like too annoyed by the violation of Senya? This is a deliberate mirror, kind of like I call it a Troy 2.0. This is like a sacking of Troy, except this is fully legitimized. This is his own house. These are people laying siege to his house and his family. Goodbye. He's not getting any Troy flashbacks in a traumatic way here. This is this is the moment of greatness. This is the moment of Aristeia. And Telemachus doesn't seem to be traumatized by the killing here. We're going to see later. He's actually getting kind of keyed up a bit. No, this does not traumatize him as far as we know at all. Certainly not in the Odyssey. What do you mean underestimating someone half bona fide hero, half Spartan sounds like a fantastic, flawless idea? I was going to say, where's the spray bottle? Well, fly high friend. If you consider Amphinomus your friend, I will once say, Agnes, you need better friends. Seriously, you need better friends, but you may mourn your trash man, but you need to know he's a trash man. That was our rule. I don't know if he says it ironically, but deep Benedetto here is a footnote that twice Amphinomus saved Telemachus from the threat of death and Telemachus killed him backstabbing. That feels ironic, because it's not backstabbing. That's the thing. Amphinomus was laser focused on Odysseus. Incorrectly. Remember, his focus is incorrect. Because all of this is, they are all in the wrong. I think it's meant to, this must be ironic / sarcastic, because what Telemachus does is fully justified. Backstabbing implies it's something terrible and awful, and even this, they weren't paying attention to the guy coming in from the side. That's good tactics. Telemachus was always there in the room. If they weren't paying attention, that's on the suitors. Is my translation. Kills him hitting him in the back. Yeah, it feels like, yeah, that does, from behind. Yeah, I do feel like he's trying to be ironic and sarcastic. It's just at least when you start translating it into English, it gets like, there's implications on that word. If the Discord link isn't working, Game Wizard will have to make a new link. Marianne, no, Agnes, this is important though. Agnes, I cannot have you thinking that Telemachus is in the wrong. I cannot have you thinking that Amphinomus' death is not justified. This is so important because I know your brain will run with this. No. Now, in your Delulu headcanon, if you want to believe that and be sad for your man, that's your Delulu headcanon. That is not the actual character. That is not what is actually happening here. Do we understand this, Agnes? I'm not even going to threaten you with the bottle. Yeah, the guy was launching at his dad in his house. They've been laying siege to his house for over 1,000 days. Almost 1,100 days. New link. Okay. We're going to replace the pinned message. There we go. So, Agnes, are we clear? I'm being very serious here, Agnes. Are we clear? I get that you, and look, again, Agnes, I get that you love this character. I may not understand it. We all have characters who are trash who we love. It happens. I just want to make sure, Agnes, you do understand. There is nothing you can do to justify Amphinomus' behavior or make it that he is not evil and not the villain. That's literally the point. That is his role in the story. That is who he is. So, Agnes, you're laughing, but Agnes, I would like for you to confirm that you understand. There is nothing that is being said to try and say he did not deserve to die. that he is not. Yes, clear as crystal. Okay, good. Again, mourn your trash man. You are allowed to. No one. We are fine with you mourning your trash man. He is a trash man, though. Like I say, I cry at the end of Phantom of the Opera while acknowledging Phantom is trash. I still cry for him at the end, though. And Venomous so-called save Telemachus was self-serving. Yeah, no, it was. Oh my god, no. Sonny, no, he's not. Sonny, have you watched the previous ones? Because Sonny, I will say, anybody who's coming in with questions like these, I have to wonder, have you watched the previous book clubs? Because no, we had full discussions on this. No. Absolutely not. No, so, I mean, Sonny's been here, but you might be new to book club. Not yet, I'm behind. Okay. You're going to have to go back. Because I'm not going to repeat it because it's too much to talk about. No, he's not. There's no one who is a better or worse suitor. They are all terrible. They are all on a level playing field. Homer is showing you different kinds of evil through the suitors. The different ways that evil and cruelty operates. And the different ways that they will do mental gymnastics to justify their behaviors to themselves. That's about as far as I'll go into it. Agnes, your final grave is due. No, as I say, Agnes, you are allowed to hold your private funeral for your trash man. Just as long as we are all understanding exactly the kind of character he is. I mean, he does. Yeah, there's no reason to spare him. There's none. It would be if he was feeling so beyond magnanimous that essentially Telemachus would be defying the gods, which at that point, no, dude, their fate is sealed. On a divine level, fate is sealed. That's how bad their behavior was. The gods have said, you're fucked. That's how bad everyone's behavior was. He loses psychopathy points for failing in a decent... Admittedly, how about that's funny? It's like, you can't sit with us. You failed in your plan. Are you kicking him away? Are you kicking him out of the diagnosed psychopath table? It's like, you can't sit with us. You suck. No, we don't claim him. Yeah, it's all selfish and conniving. None of it is kind. Nobody in here is kind. And that's why Odysseus mentions his dad, and that's why it's so sad. He's like, your father is better. You should be better than this. I know your father. What the fuck happened? He's no longer a psycho. It's like, he just can't sit with us. He can't sit with us. Whoa. Correctly, Telemachus stopped Odie from killing it. Yeah, we're not there yet. And they're not suitors. We're not there yet. There's going to be a character, like, we're gonna get there. We're not there yet, and he's not a suitor. Mean Girls Psychopath Edition. You can't sit with us! You are on the Council of ASPD. We do not grant you the rank of psychopath. I see your Star Wars reference. That's funny. Agnes? Light squirt. You're in mourning, you will get a light squirt. But it is here. It is a Wednesday, and Amphi was wearing blue. On Wednesdays, we wear pink. You can't wear sweatpants. And he was wearing sweatpants. Manch. Okay, anyway. Okay, but I wanted to do those conversations. Again, all the different suitors, these main three players, really, the ones who we've interacted with the most, like, their deaths are very specifically designed. So that's why I wanted to talk a bit about that. Anyway, moving on. The horror of sweatpants, yes. Moving on. He went on the run, reaching his father at once and halting right beside him. Let fly. Father, now, I'll get you a shield and a pair of spears, a helmet of solid bronze to fit your temples. I'll arm myself on the way back and hand out arms to the swineherd, arm the cowherd too. We'd better fight equipped. Run, fetch them, the wily captain urged. While I've got arrows left to defend me, or they'll force me from the doors while I fight on alone. Telemachus moved to his father's orders smartly. Off he ran to the room where the famous arms lay stored, took up 4 shields, 8 spears, 4 bronze helms ridged with horsehair crests, and loaded with these, ran back to reach his father's side in no time. I think I have notes on that, but it's from Those is a morning gift in it. Oh yes, Agnes is in mourning, for those who are not aware. The prince was first to case himself in bronze, and his servants followed suit, both harnessed up, and all 3 flanked Odysseus, mastermind of war. And he, as long as he'd arrows left to defend himself, kept picking suitors off in the palace, one by one, and down they went, corpse on corpse, in droves. Then, when the royal archer's shafts ran out, he leaned his bow on a post of the massive doors, where walls of the hallway catch the light, and armed, across his shoulder he slung a buckler 4 plies thick. Over his powerful head he set on a well-forged helmet, the horsehair crest atop it tossing, bristling terror, and grasped 2 rugged lances tipped with fiery bronze. Now, a side door was fitted into the main wall, right at the edge of the great hall's stone sill, and led to a passage always shut by good, tight boards. Brief note about this whole side door. The note, and this comes from Fagles. Scholars have puzzled over the architectural details of the palace in vain. Basically, don't ask, it makes no goddamn sense. The confusion is likely due to a combination of different bardic formulas over time, and this is where the most important note here, which everyone will recognize, is basically an echo of things I've said before. In any case, the original audience, so swept along by the performance, would not have worried too much about the details. Basically, don't get lost in the weeds of time and space. Don't get lost in those weeds. You want to get specific about the architectural details of the palace, we'll never fucking know. It's not a real palace. You can puzzle over it and then just go, it's ultimately not that important. What do they mean by bucklers? Let me see it. Hold on, let me read that bit. He ran off, he came back. He slung a buckler 4 plies thick over his powerful head, across his shoulder. Oh, a type of shield. A type of sword. Shields you can fit on your arm, smaller than a normal shield. That makes sense. A lot of these shields you would have seen from around this area would have been smaller. We can't really talk about some of that until we get to the Iliad. Maybe that's what Jorge meant with the jetpack logistics. Mariana! You get sprayed for that. How dare you? Yeah, Homer's out here going, yeah, okay, there's a door. We have to mention it because we're having some people go through it, but don't worry about it. Like, again, the palace isn't real. We're making shit up as we go along in a way. But yeah, so we're talking a thick shield to sling over his arm. You cover here. Again, they would have been fighting with smaller shields than you probably think. I thought they found... Well, Odysseus isn't real. They call it Odysseus' palace. Odysseus is not real. I mean, that's just like saying... That's like calling them the Minoans, and we have King Minos's palace. We're like, they're not real. They didn't call themselves the Minoans. That's a name given to them by other European archaeologists in like the 1800s. I was out of topic. Why were the shields smaller? Ease of movement. Kind of tough to carry around a really big shield, especially when the fighting was done predominantly on Bronze Age. You're looking at a lot of war chariots, a lot of shields. So you needed to be mobile and agile because you were fighting either as infantry or in a war chariot. They did, prior to this, have bigger shields. They had things called tower shields, these huge shields. Ajax the Great, or Telamonian Ajax's shield, is noted to be basically a style like a tower shield. But by the time we're roughly thinking this is supposed to be dated, those were actually out of fashion. They weren't using them much anymore. So they just use slightly smaller shields. And even if you go to the medieval times, like, you'll find smaller shields. They're great use. They keep you moving. The historical swords, sword sellers. Cool. Yeah, I was gonna say, I will admit to not being hella knowledgeable when it comes to arms and armory. I mean, we've seen me reacting to the animatics, like looking at the camera desperately. Am I using the right words? This is like, you're looking at areas of history and archaeology that are very niche within a niche. I don't consider myself well-versed enough. So I've always wondered, how could the entire Song of Odysseus have been picked up the suitors could he have picked up? Now I know he didn't. Yes, don't look at Epic as being anywhere close to showing you what happens in the Odyssey. It's not like even more so in the back half. Is it 100% impossible there wasn't a guy named Odysseus? We don't really know. Again, Ithaca was not that important. We don't really have any written record to support it. We don't really know where they got the ideas for these names. Maybe they were based on real people, but ultimately we go, none of these guys are historical figures. Don't take them as historical figures. And let's also be like, one very branching off that further. Is his name Schliemann? Schliemann, I think, is the guy who discovered Troy, who dug up Mycenae. I think that's his name. I look at him very sideways. For many things. He famously found the artifact that is known as the Death Mask of Agamemnon. Troy guy, yeah. He found the Death Mask of Agamemnon. We're like, well, that's not Agamemnon's. We're like, Agamemnon's not real. To the mask that he's talking about, it's a very famous artifact. You can look it up. In fact, if you are a fan of JoJo, you know that she referenced it in her No Longer You animatic. It's not even dated to the right period, and they're like, well, at least, yeah, he was in Mycenae, but wow, yeah, Schliemann, trust me, most archaeologists want to scream about Schliemann, and I'm not even an archaeologist, and I want to scream at him for many things. There is a place I do believe that gets called Odysseus' Palace, in the same ways that you go to Crete and you call it the Palace of Minos, at the Palace at Knossos. They weren't. The ancient Greeks treated them like historical figures, right? They treated them as real. They're not real. It has to do with the ancient attitude versus the we know better attitude. Yes, Schliemann. Twitch. The Cult of Odysseus. Yeah, and again, I will say this is a note, because if anybody's going to mention like the various cults, there were lots of cults in ancient Greece all over the place. They were very common. We know very little about them. Let me make that very clear. So anybody who tries to talk on like any sort of expertise on these cults and like what all their rituals were, what they were all about, kind of full of shit. Even the ancient writers, they had no idea. Like the Romans tried to write about these Greek cults and they were left going, we don't fucking know. One, they won't let us in. Even if they do, we don't fucking know. Like, we don't know. They keep themselves super insular and super secretive. No, and even today, we don't necessarily have a very good full picture of how people practiced in ancient Greece. Part of that is because, again, this was a highly regional and localized religion. Yes, they worshipped the same pantheon of gods, but everyone was a little different. They all had different festival calendars, like depending on where you went. Everybody was different. So when it comes to the actual physical practicing, we have a hard time. And even then, you can be worshiping the same gods, but you might be worshiping different aspects of it. Like Sparta, it comes up a lot. So they're like, Aphrodite was a war goddess. I'm like, not really. But Sparta did have a variant of Aphrodite that they worshipped because of this idea that like lust, love, sexual, and all of that, and war, like all of the emotions associated with that, come from the same root, which is this idea of desire. So again, and that's unique to a particular time period in Sparta. Like nobody else is really doing that. Again, so like getting a handle on the actual physical practices and stuff, trust me, you want to bang your head into a wall. This is not like even, Roman tradition would get a little more centralized, but then you get into the monotheistic religions, which are tend to become way more centralized and sort of create like basically one book we all read from, right? Homer, why don't they just go and overpower Odysseus? Is quite complicated. We had this combo in the Discord. I think we did. Why don't they just go and overpower Odysseus as a group? Well, none of them have, even though they are treated ultimately as a mass, as a group, right? Plus, if there are some who love war. Yes, there are some who love war. That idea, all is fair in love and war, kind of comes from that thought train. There are some people who love war and love combat. Especially classical age Sparta specifically. But why don't the suitors rush him? This is the interesting thing, because part of it is, and you'll see this in the Iliad a lot too. You'll see it actually way more in the Iliad, because we're going to get a lot more combat in the Iliad. That's a novel about warfare while we're in a war. Homer is trying to describe to you a combination of the melee, which is everybody's doing shit all at once, but he's also telling a story. You can lose track of people if you just start saying, and in a mass, everybody's running around. You get the chaos, but they're trying to focus you in on individuals, to give every individual their moment. So it seems like everybody's rushing up one at a time. And that's the way the story gets framed, because it's easier to tell it that way. Let's remember, this is an oral tradition. It's very hard to describe. And then this guy came from the left, and that guy came from the right, and that guy came from the front, and that guy came from the back. It's like, a listener's gonna lose track. And you want to give individuals who have been highlighted, you want to give them their moment. There's a really good explanation for this kind of style in a way. I can't remember. You'll find it like a classical historian or ancient historian. He's known as the ditch guy, if you've ever seen those things on like History Hit and such. Watched the movie Troy and kind of gave his reaction to it. And I'm a bit like him, where I kind of love and hate that movie in equal measure. There's things I like and things I very much don't. He talked about how the fights in that movie are trying to mimic Homer, where Homer is trying to give you almost like duels, which may not have necessarily been happening because logistically that makes no sense. But it's really easy to lose track when you're talking about clashes of big groups of people, right? Trying to write a scene where also they are focused on survival with arrows here. Yeah, there is also that. It's, Eurymachus thinking first, take cover, then run. They're scared of death. These are not heroes. These are not proper warriors. They want to run, right? Take cover and run. That's what they're thinking, right? So it is, you might get a few who muster up their courage to be stupid and they die. Again, but it's a little different than, when we see it in the Iliad, where you're trying to describe a melee, where it's two army, big masses of people running at each other. You start zooming in the lens to go, okay, and this duel is happening. And you're like, what, is nobody else fighting? It's like, well, they are, but Homer's not going to bother to tell you that because we're a little focused on the cool people doing cool shit. Not sure if it's a question I can ask now or wait. Does it have to do with this book? Like, does it have to do with what we're talking about now, Sunny? Yeah, in that way you can say, the question section, whoopsie, didn't mean to use that. No, that's fine. If the question doesn't relate to what we're talking about here, or might end up as a huge tangent that doesn't relate to the Odyssey, maybe hold off on it for a second. Quells it right from the start when he sees emulation. Yeah, no, exactly. When he sees what Amphinomous is, he goes, we're gonna nip that in the bud right now. He goes, nuh-uh. Fight your dead, run your dead, hide your dead, might as well go down fighting. Buy time until they resort to organizing. Yeah, they want to maintain the chaos of the room, because if the suitors get a chance to think, somebody might come up with a plan. It is like, it's cinematography. Remember, this is oral storytelling. There's no camera. His voice and the way that he tells the story is the camera. This is the movie where we see the mass and then we zoom in and go, yes, we're focusing on these characters we know. That's essentially what's happening. It's an old form of storytelling. Yes, much like Snyder's 300, which I know Mariana hates 300 because you see it as a superhero movie. But arguably, what they're doing in there, with those moments where, like, I think of when I talked about speed ramps, I talked about how 300 uses them a lot. You can think of the famous scene where Leonidas busts out and has this moment. What they're trying to essentially emulate, and what I'd argue, I must assume it's been a long time since I read the graphic novel. The graphic novels emulating are like moments of ODYSSEY, where one dude versus a ton. It's insane. But we need to focus on the characters who are important to us, even though there's tons of people ultimately rushing at each other. That film is highly stylized in the way that it does it, in the way that Homer is stylized in the way that he's doing it. Right? This is style. Style to enhance the storytelling, if that makes sense. With a yes or no, I think. Okay, then Sunny, why don't you hold on to that question and hold off on it for a bit. Yeah, it begins, what is your profession? We're gonna die, most of them. But yes. We were at the door. There we go, the door. The door where we're like, don't bother with trying to understand the architecture of the palace. Nobody fucking knows. It's fine. Cowherd, swineherd, all of them. Odysseus gave the swineherd strict commands to stand hard by the side door, guard it well, the only way the suitors might break out. Agelaus called to his comrades with a plan. Friends, can't someone climb through the hatch? Tell men outside to sound the alarm. Be quick, our guest would soon see he'd shot his last. They're all trying to run. The goat herd, Melanthius. Blech. Still as ridiculous as the brothers catapult and Captain Swiss. Yes, it is ridiculous. But that movie was trying to be ridiculous, so. The goat herd Melanthius answered. I got a chance, my lord. Door to the courtyard is much too near. Dangerous to mouth of the palace crimp. One strong man could block us, one and all. Now, I'll fetch you some armor, harness on, out the storeroom. There, no one else. I'm sure a king and his gallant son have stowed his arms. This motherfucker. We can't wait for Melanthius to get his due, by the way. With that, the goat herd clambered up through smoke ducts high on the wall, like a spider, like an animal, and scurried into Odysseus' storeroom, bundled a dozen shields, as many spears and helmets ridged with horsehair crests, and loaded with these, rushed back down to the suitors, quickly issued arms. Ah, yes, as we shall see. Odysseus' knees shook, his heart too, when he saw them buckling on their armor, brandishing long spears. Here was a battle looming. Well, he knew. He turned at once to Telemachus, warnings flying. A bad break in the fight, my boy. One of the women's tipped the odds against us. Or could it be the goat herd? My fault, father. The cool, clear prince replied. The blame's all mine. That snug door to the vault, I left it ajar. They've kept a better watch than I. Go, you may shut the door to the storeroom. Check and see if it's one of the women's tricks or Dolius' son, Melanthius. He's our man, I'd say. Now, of course, I'm sure everybody would go, oh, they're blaming the women. Okay, well, Odysseus has seen some of these maids. You can't trust some of them, so I get that. But yeah, that's on Telemachus, because he rushed in, kind of as almost a last-minute addition, let me bring in more arms. He didn't think to shut the door all the way, because he's moving so fast. He's not quite his dad. And even as they conspired, back the goat herd climbed to the room to fetch more burnished arms. But Eumaeus spotted him, quickly told his king who stood by. Odysseus, wily captain, there he goes again, the infernal nuisance, just as we suspected, back to the storeroom. Give me clear command. Do I kill the man, if I can take him down, or drag him back to you here to pay in full for the vicious work he's plotted in your house? Odysseus, master of tactics, answered briskly. I and the prince will keep these brazen suitors crammed in the hall for all their battle fury. You two wrench Melanthius' arms and legs behind him, fling him down in the storeroom, lash his back to a plank, and strap a twisted cable fast to the scoundrel's body. Hoist him up a column until he hits the rafters. Let him dangle in agony, still alive, for a good long time. Or that goat herd, yeah. He knows exactly who are the ones most likely to be helping the suitors. The disloyal maids or that feckin' goat herd. And he's like, you know, you can't discount that guy. Yeah, just hang there a moment. Hard to close the door with, yeah, and let's be fair to Telemachus, 4 shields, 4 helmets, 8 spears, and he's moving as fast as he can. Okay, so the door got left slightly ajar. You know, we can cut him a wee bit of slack there. It's like, I see that. I like. Just hang there a moment. They hung on his orders, keen to do his will. Off they ran to the storeroom, unseen by him inside. Melanthius rummaging after arms deep in a dark recess as the 2 men took their stand, either side of the doorposts. poised till the goatherd tried to cross the door-sill, one hand clutching a crested helmet, the other an ample old buckler blotched with mildew. The shield Laertes bore as a young soldier, like once, and there it lay for ages, seams, on the hand straps, split. Quick, they rushed him, seized him, haled him back by the hair, flung him down on the floor, writhing with terror, bound him hand and foot with a chafing cord, wrenched his limbs back, till the joints locked tight. Just as Laertes' cunning son commanded, they strapped a twisted cable round his body, hoisted him up a column until he hit the rafters. Then you mocked him, Eumaeus, my good swineherd. Now stand guard through the whole night, Melanthius, stretched out on a soft bed fit for you, your highness. You're bound to see the morning rise up from the ocean, mounting her golden throne, or just the hour you always drive in goats to feed the suitors in the hall. Melanthius is the brother, Melanthos is the sister. Correct. So they left him, trussed up in his agonizing sling. They clapped on armor again, shut the gleaming doors, and ran to rejoin Odysseus, mastermind of war. And now, as the ranks squared off, breathing fury, four at the sill confronting a larger, stronger force arrayed inside the hall. Now, Zeus's daughter, Athena, taking the build and voice of Mentor, swept in, and Odysseus, thrilled to see her, cried out, "Rescue me, Mentor, now's life or death! Remember your old comrade, all the service I offered you. We were boys together." So he cried, yet knew in his bones it was Athena, driver of armies, because he's the proper Greek hero, and recognizes when a fucking god in disguise is hanging around there. Not that the suitors ever did. You know, that's on purpose. But across the hall, the suitors brayed against her. Agelaus first, his outburst full of threats. "Mentor, never let Odysseus trick you into siding with him to fight against the suitors. Here's our plan of action, and we will see it through once we've killed them both, the father and the son. We'll kill you too, for all you're bent on doing here in the halls. You'll pay with your own head, and once our swords have stopped your violence cold, all your property, all your house, your fields, we'll lump it in with Odysseus' rich estates, and never let your sons live on in your halls, or free your wife and daughters to walk through town." I got bingo. We have bingo already? Peg. Someone confirm Hellbound's. That's cute, Pumpkin. Bless your heart. Exactly. 1/3 crucifixion, 1/3 breaking wheel, 1/3 hanging. Not great. Yeah, no, that's extremely painful. So if Hellbound is saying you've got bingo, somebody confirm it in the Discord. If confirmed, I will get Peg a snack. That's how this works. Did Athena take the form of Mentor, or did she sort of possess Mentor? She takes the form of Mentor. The gods don't possess. They're not like demons. They literally just change their shapeshift. She looks like Mentor. She's done this several times. Naked threats. And Athena hit new heights of rage, like, "You motherfucker." Now, a little bit of love for Agelaus. The guy knows how to make... It isn't a threat. It's empty threat. Like, if you're gonna give a guy spitting out a threat, he's done the best one, to be fair. Low bar. Yeah, have no clue on the follow-up, but good threat. Good words. You can't back it up. Naked threats. And Athena hit new heights of rage. She lashed out at Odysseus now with blazing accusation. "Where's it gone, Odysseus? Your power, your fighting heart. The great soldier who fought for famous white-armed Helen, battling Trojans 9 long years non-stop. No mercy, mowing their armies down in grueling battle. You who seized the broad streets of Troy with your fine strategic stroke." Which, by the way, the fine strategic stroke, we're talking about the Trojan horse, of course. That's what we're referencing here, which everybody would freaking know about. So, yeah, the wording. Fair. It's not necessarily that's not how I designed you. It's more like she's revving him up. Like, she's revving him up, like, let's go, let's go, let's go! Like, that's what this is. How can you now you've returned to your house, your own wealth, bewail the loss of your combat strength in a war with suitors? Which, by the way, Fagles puts that in italics as if to really dig in. Suitors? Seriously? They're cute, Pumpkin. Come, old friend, stand by me. You'll see action now. See how Mentor, the son of Alcimus, that brave fighter kills your enemies, pays you back for service. Rousing words. But she gave no all-out turning of the tide. Not yet. She kept on testing Odysseus and his gallant son, putting their force and fighting heart to proof. Again, the gods are not going to come in, swoop down to save your ass and do all the work for you. You need to achieve the glory. She'll come in and give you the rousing speech in the moment of inspiration. You gotta do the work. The heroes have to do the work. She's like, you got this, motherfucker. Let's go. Right. For all the world, like a swallow in their sight, she flew on high to perch on the great hall's central roof beam, black with smoke. But the suitors closed ranks, commanded now by Damastor's son, Agelaus, flanked by Eurynomus, Dimoptolemus, and Amphimedon, Pisander, Polyctor's son, and Polybus, ready, waiting, head and shoulders the best and bravest of the lot, still left to fight for their lives. I love it. It's like, the best of who's left. It's the little jabs that Homer sneaks in that are very amusing to me. Oh, an early thing tomorrow. Okay, bye, Yuzi. Now that the pelting shafts had killed the rest, Agelaus spurred his comrades on with battle plans. Friends, at last, the man's invincible hands are useless. Okay. Mentor's mouthed some empty boast and flitted off. Oh, empty boasts, huh? Okay, pot. Kettle. Cute. Wrong, but okay. Okay, Agelaus. Okay, that's cute, Pumpkin. Yeah, well, of those left. Yeah, Homer goes there. We love of those left, now that we've killed a whole bunch of them. Homer, you petty man, you. The pettiness is petty is our love language right now. We love it, okay? Oh, he's a petty ass bitch and we love it. We're literally all here for the drama. Aristoi? It's Aristoi, I believe. Flitted off. Just 4 are left to fight at the front doors. Oh, 4 more than 3 1 with 3 extras, please. So now, no wasting your long spears, all at a single hurl. Just 6 of us launch out in the first wave. If Zeus is willing, we may hit Odysseus, carry off the glory. The rest are nothing once the captain's down. They saw Mentor turn into a bird. More like they saw him kind of vanish, but the fact that they haven't even clocked that's not actually Mentor, but Athena, really goes to show you how unworthy they are. And it's just like, did no one clock that was not Mentor? But because we mentioned Odysseus immediately realizes that's Athena. He's the true Greek hero. If Zeus is willing, oh honey. Tells the others were killed by arrows. He left out Amphinomus.